it's where we, in essence, determine what's the next best offer we want to surface to our customer, whether that's a specific product, a specific discount, whether it's a customer service message. We also have the ability to send those next best offers into any channel, whether that's client-side or server-side via our experiences, and we have inbuilt testing capability to ensure whatever personalization we deploy, we can get an understanding in terms of, is it having a significant impact on our KPIs? From the Discover side, Discover is very much focused on the retail space. It's got a huge suite of out-of-the-box machine learning models that enables better merchandising, better search recommendations, product recommendations. And I think a key challenge for us today is to unpack the overlapping capability between these platforms, more importantly, the unique features that can be combined together when you combine Discover with CDP and Personalize. So this is far from exhaustive. This is just a little matrix in terms of what I feel some of the key overlapping capabilities and which are some of the unique features. So in terms of overlapping capability, I would say absolutely in terms of capturing that session web behavioral data, both platforms are very strong elements of that. Easy web deployment of personalization or widgets directly into your website, and that ability to test. They're both really strong capabilities built within the platforms. However, where there's definitely unique strengths, certainly from the Discover side, is its out-of-the-box AI models for machine learning, and also that ability to work with huge product catalogs. Both those options are just not available currently within CDP and Personalize. And then on the flip side, real strengths of CDP and Personalize that are not inbuilt in Discover is, it's that ability for real-time decisioning. So it's not just the machine learning models, it's that ability to arbitrate and put layers of business rules over machine learning models, but also in terms of omni-channel capabilities. Discover is very strong in web, app, and email, but one of the strengths of Personalize is that ability to really personalize in any channel, whether that's digital or in bricks and mortar in the real world. So it's a omni-channel. Offline historical data is also another key strength of CDP, because the focus of Discover is really about that in-session intent and behavioral data. If they have the additional data from CDP around their past purchase history, their loyalty information, they can provide much more targeted recommendations bundled together. And the last thing I would say is about it's CDP and Personal are very much industry agnostic. Discover is very much in the retailing and e-commerce merchandising space. In terms of the better together story, I thought I'd position this in terms of, like, if you were an existing CDP Personalized customer, when should you consider looking at Discover as an option for your organization? Certainly challenges, and I hear this a lot in terms of for CDP and Personalized customers, is those mid-tier customers who don't have their own data science teams, they would like to leverage more out-of-the-box machine learning models. So certainly that's a challenge they have. And also in terms of integration perspectives, CDP and Personalized focus very much on a guest data model, not external product models. So that ability to host that natively within the wider Sitecore portfolio certainly will ease integrations. And ultimately, why would they care about this is that it's that ability to employ these really detailed product recommendations much more efficiently if they leverage Discover, and also to be able to have those relevant offerings across all their channels, both in batch and real time. So I think that is certainly the conversation starter I would have with existing CDP and Personalized customers in the retail space to understand, should they consider layering Discover on top? And on the flip side, if you have a Discover client already, when should they potentially consider looking at CDP and Personalize? Certainly some of the challenges they would have would be around not being able to understand their customer outside of that in-session behavioral data. So another thing is not being able to target all their customers across all the digital touch points. So in terms of mobile push messaging or in paid social or paid media wouldn't be something that Discover currently offers. And certainly the focus of Discover is around conversion, upsell, cross-sell. It's that part of the customer journey that it's focused on. Outside of that, in terms of acquisition, retention, customer service is not something that Discover would cover. So again, by introducing CDP and Personalize to those clients, there's certainly, I think the key thing, the more data that you have about a customer, the better the customer experience can be there. So certainly layering in data from CDP and Personalize will help from that front. Also, from an omni-channel perspective, customers are not just going on linear journeys on single channels. They're very much jumping between devices and different channels when they're engaging with your brand. So to be able to target your customers consistently across channel is a huge benefit for Discover clients if they were to layer on Personalize. And then finally, it also broadens the conversation in terms of the customer journey as well. We're not just focused on conversion, upsell, cross-sell. We can also now, with CDP and Personalize on top of Discover, take in conversations around acquisition, retention, and customer service. What I would say, if you were talking to a new retailer, like absolutely, they would certainly get benefits from having all three platforms. But the reality is sometimes there's limited budgets, and so there's a challenge in terms of understanding which they should focus on. So for me, if they were a retailer, who are really focused on the web and email channels app, and they were keen just to get up and running with out-of-the-box models, I would focus the conversation initially on Discover. Whereas if they were looking to do use cases in all their customer journeys, all the different channels, if they're requiring historical information, that's where I would focus the conversation initially on CDP and Personalize. And I suppose that's the real benefit of the composable story with Sitecore now, is that we can very much go for a land and expand approach with our customers. We don't have to go and sell them everything all at once. They can start off with Discover, and then we can come back in 6 months and 12 months and have additional conversations around where these extra products will benefit them. I'm going to do a brief little live demo, and hopefully some of this will come to life, but the VPN is playing up a little, but we'll give that we'll give it a whirl. But in essence, a couple of things I'm going to show is the affinity scores that are out of the box come with Discover. They currently live in there, but I want to show is that how we can very easily sync them directly into CDP and persist those affinity and propensity scores. And then once they're in there, we can power them across different channels. And then I also want to show you just in real time calling Discover in terms of bringing back those recommendations and being able to push those machine learning models into other channels that Discover wouldn't have native support for. So if I jump into Chrome here, so we can see we have a little demo website here in terms of retail. There's this lovely little plugin that my colleague Chris Janning created here in terms of showing in real time the affinity scores that are being processed as people browse the website. So for instance, we can see I'm looking at Crocs, that's the highest propensity, and those different colors. But if I, in real time, start changing things to, let's say, red Nike shoes, in the background, Discover is powering all of this, and when I start clicking on individual items here, we can see in real time we're going to get updates in terms of the affinity scores. See that Nike now has got a 0.25 propensity there. If I start going to red Nike t-shirts, again, we should see once I start clicking into these items, the affinity scores based, whether it's size, gender, color, brand, product, etc., they're updating in real time. And whereas that's really good for Discover native use cases, what we are able to do now is take those affinity scores and persist them directly in the CDP. So if I go and refresh this profile here, we can see in terms of data extensions on the guest profile now, we should see now, if I go down and click on brand, for instance, here, we are seeing here Crocs at 0.6, Nike at 0.4. In real time, that's coming directly from the Discover engine and being persisted in CDP. So again, all these attributes that are being calculated on the fly are now within Personalize, and that means when we want to build a segment out of people with affinity for Nike, we want to maybe retarget them on Facebook, something that currently Discover wouldn't be able to do. We could build an audience in CDP and Personalize and sync it over to those channels. So that's one option in terms of persisting those machine learning propensities within the profile in CDP. The other one is actually calling in real time one of these machine learning models to get product recommendations back. So in terms of our decision canvas here in Personalize, all we're doing here is literally pulling that session information to get the Sitecore ID, and then we're going to send that to our AI recommender, which is powered by Discover. And again, if I just go into test canvas here and select a guest and run this in real time, we should see oh, hi Mike, thanks for coming in Teams, I should have shut that off. That if I go to executions here, in real time, we've pulled back the payload essentially from the Discover machine learning engine, and so we can take this payload here in terms of the products, images, category, whatever, called anything that's in that product catalog, we can pull that directly now from Discover and sync that into other channels that Discover is not connected to. And this is very much just taking that channel, taking that recommendation and proxying it to another channel. But the benefit of Personalize and the decisioning is that you can make this as sophisticated as you want. So again, instead of just taking the recommendation and pushing it to the channel, We could look at guest information from the CDP, potentially look up our CRM, understand maybe this customer has an existing open ticket. We might want to suppress marketing to this customer right now and focus on customer service. Maybe we want to take out loyalty points information that Discover doesn't understand about and offer a discount on those products. So we're taking that product recommendation, understanding that they're actually in our platinum tier. We want to give them a 10% discount. If they're in our gold tier, give them a 5% discount. So it's that ability in Personalize to not only take the machine learning recommendation and put it into the channels, it's been able to augment them with business rules as well. So, actually I'll just put this back into present mode. So to summarize that bit of the demo there really is that you can see on the left-hand side there, in terms of taking data into the platform, we can now take information from Discover here and persist that directly against the profile in the CDP. Or alternatively, as I just showed you a second ago, in real time, we can call out to the model and take the machine learning response, and essentially once it's in our decision canvas here, we can push that to any channel there, which is a huge benefit for customers who want to consistently put offers in the most relevant way for their customer base. Last couple of slides here just to say that's CDP and Personalize benefiting from Discover. Some of the benefits Discover will get from CDP is the ability for us to sync that segment information into Discover so that they can retrain and focus their models in a more nuanced way than just with the behavioral data. So there's benefits for Discover in terms of that enriched offline data that Discover has. And also an interesting one we hear from a lot from retailers is that they could have 70 or 80 machine learning models in the background with Discover, but they're only deploying 3 or 4 of them. And so it's the ability for Personalize to understand maybe for this segment and this cohort, we want to put this algorithm, and for others, we want to put a different algorithm. So that ability in real time for Personalize to suggest what recipe that Discover should put into the front end is another benefit that Discover customers will get. We've got a minute to go or so. So to summarize really, like Discover and CDP Personalize absolutely enhance each other's capabilities when they bundle together. Interestingly, because Sitecore Discover or Sitecore Search is built on Sitecore Discover, there's similar synergies that we'll get in the content space between CDP, Personalize, and Search that we have in the Discover space. As mentioned yesterday, universal tracking is coming as well, so that will ease integration in terms of having a single tracker providing the data capture for Personalize and for Discover. And also, just as a general comment, we certainly, as a Sitecore, as an organization, will be producing a lot more assets around this Better Together stories to give more clarity to the community. So feel free to contact me after this today in person or on Slack or on Twitter. And I would like to obviously thank our sponsors for facilitating this entire conference. We might have a couple of minutes for questions, or if not, you can grab me later.